There we go. What's up, y'all? This is me messing up. I did an intro and I was on mute. That's what happens when you get old, people. We are live. This is DL Saint, the DL Saint I Really Want to Know podcast. And we're going to be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. The new Disney series is on Disney Plus. I've watched it. I'm a fan. Um, didn't like what I saw. We're going to bring my brother from another mother, my homie out there in California. We're going to bring Valor up because he's also a big fan. And he's in the business. He's a writer, director, producer. He does all that kind of stuff. He's working his way up the chain. I made it very clear to him that I was not happy with what Disney is doing with this story, with this character. It's unacceptable. We got to do something about it. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to definitely talk about it. So yeah, and I was saying while I was muted and you guys couldn't hear me, I just got back. I was in Miami for the weekend. I got there right after the storms passed. The news will have you believe that Miami's underwater. That's not true. At least Brickell isn't. And South Beach isn't. I was on South Beach for dinner Friday and Saturday night. I'm sorry, Saturday and Sunday night. So yeah, everybody's good. And if it were underwater, everybody has a boat because that boat culture is insane down there right now. Absolutely insane. Shout out to Fresh and Fit, Myron and Fresh. Good looking out. Thanks for taking care of your uncle. They had me down there. I had them meet some close friends of mine. We went to Mr. Child's on South Beach. Mr. Child's is my favorite restaurant on the planet. There are only 6 of them on planet Earth. Fresh loved it. Myron hated it, man. Boy, he did not like that place at all. He was tight. But it was funny. We was just making fun of him all night long. I thought he was going to punch me. But anyway, we had a good time. So shout out to Fresh and Fit. Them my boys. Without further ado, man, we're going to get into this Kenobi thing and why I think it is trash. And this is all about storytelling, y'all. That's all. This is all about storytelling and why Hollywood is just messing stuff up right now. So without further ado, here he is, live and direct. It's Valor. What's good, brother?
What's good? We got the original Star Wars poster in the back.
That's money. That's money. Yo, bro. Yeah, man, you can see I'm out of it, man. I had to run out. I found a venue out here in Tampa because I'm fiending to produce something, man. I miss doing my comedy shows. I miss doing the stuff that we were doing out there in LA. And I found a venue here in Tampa. I might have to do a little something. So I was there. I might have had a little bit to drink, maybe a wee bit. So
All right, we're doing Tipsy Star Wars.
yeah, we're gonna do Tipsy Star Wars, man. I'll be all right. I only had a couple, man. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. So yeah, man, this whole Star Wars thing. So before we get into Kenobi, and I mean, we're just talking about storytelling, and you're a fan. So, what do you think Hollywood is doing in particular? What is Disney doing with this franchise? Are they more concerned with selling stuff, or do they want to tell a story?
I think George Lucas was concerned with selling shit. I think that Disney is in the same boat as well. I actually saw a hilarious article when The Last Jedi came out where they said this is a Star Wars movie meant not to sell toys. And I thought that's a weird way of saying that we did such a bad job that we're not going to sell any toys, which is actually what happened. Um, but I don't think that this is the Kenobi. I think that this show, you can always be selling toys and telling a good story. Hence, what do you call it? Oh, hence, what's it? Just any Star Wars movie to last forever. Obviously, this one's has a little bit more melanin in it, and I think that's been a problem for some people. But obviously, that's probably not a problem for you, for the very obvious reason that you have a lot of melanin in your skin.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think
And
it was a good story.
we're gonna dive into all that, man. But you think it's a good story. So what about all the other stuff, like the stuff that because they've been just flooding the world with these Star Wars stories. Like so when Rogue One came out, I'm like, you know what? That was fire.
That was really good.
That was fire. And Mr. Savage, what's up? Thanks for the shout out, bro. Mr. Savage, thanks for coming on. Hollywood is on some other shit for real. Yes, they are. Um, and they are in the business of pandering. I would agree with that 100%. Now, that wasn't always the case to this degree. So, like we said, like when Rogue One came out, I was like, yo, this is fire right here. And by that time, I was really into Clone Wars and I was into all the other stuff that they were doing. But once they got that success with Rogue One, they really went off on a tangent. Like this whole the Andor thing. Like why you want to go and start telling these stories? So that's where I think the pandering comes into play.
I blame Marvel.
Marvel and how
I
so?
blame. Well, let's see. Marvel is a bunch of interconnected stories that all lead up to one big event movie, right?
That works.
And it works because that's how they're set up like comics. So you have a bunch of executives and they're looking at it and they're saying, fuck, we have to do that. And they freaked out because Kenobi didn't, not Kenobi, I'm sorry. They freaked out because Solo didn't do very well. And now they're like, let's fuck the, fuck whatever we're doing where we're trying to tell these individual stories. Everything has to be interconnected now. So Andor is obviously going to lead to Rogue One. So all their bigger stories and all their biggest shows are all basically being interconnected to the mainline films in some way. Andor is obviously going to lead into what's happening in the original trilogy. The Mandalorian's obviously going to lead into what's happening in the new trilogy. And Kenobi is giving insight into what happened to the original trilogy. And so they're trying to MCUify it, and I think that could be a bad thing, and that could be a really good thing. I don't give a shit about Andor, but I'm not going to knock it till I see it.
Because we're fans, we're gonna watch it. But I gotta tell you what, man. I mean, I thought Mandalorian was cool. Because they're telling the story. Like when
I'll give you
Filoni.
one I don't like though. I don't like Book of Boba Fett,
I was
and
gonna
I'm
get. I was gonna get to that. I'm like Boba Fett should have been better.
we're gonna point out what they could have done better, and then I'm gonna point out what Kenobi's doing right that you're not seeing just yet.
All right, so we gotta figure out how we're gonna do this. All right, because this is about Kenobi. Um, okay, let's start with Kenobi. We've kind of we set the stage. We like we talked about what we like, what we don't like. We didn't talk about episodes. Was that 7, 8, and 9?
Oh god,
And
yeah.
the story of Ray is just god awful, bro. I'm sorry.
So this is what I think happened there, and I think it goes back to Marvel, right? They want to give these really great art house directors a movie and say, go off, be creative with it. And they did that really well with Rogue One, but they didn't do that really well with The Last Jedi. Now, financially, did really well, but I think that story is really lacking. And it's very much an amusement park ride rather than a story. And I think that's been a big criticism of it. But you look at The Force Awakens, that has like all that's basically a copy and paste of A New Hope, and you'll say, oh, it's the same thing. And I'll say it's not the same thing, and I'll tell you why. Because it's obvious that they're setting up a subversion of all of this narrative. And then Ryan Johnson comes in here, and he doesn't really understand what's happening with J.J. Abrams. And he thinks J.J. Abrams is just going to copy paste. J.J. Abrams is a great director. He's a great writer. But you come in here and you have people don't agree on a vision. They're going to. I feel like The Last Jedi was done by a really good director. Have you seen Knives Out?
Knives Out. That was
It has Chris Hemsworth. It has Jamie Lee Curtis. It has
yeah,
everybody.
and it because that was Bond in there, right? That was
Oh, and James Bond. Fuck yeah.
yes, yes, and
So they
so and I did see that. I did see that. I saw Knives Out.
do you like
Um,
it?
It was okay. I didn't necessarily think it lived up to the hype. They really hyped the shit out of it. It was decent. If they didn't have such great acting talent, I think it would have fell flat. I think the writing on that was kind of poor. You know what I mean? But I think they had talented actors there who were into the project. Again, James Bond, which is Daniel Craig, really wanted to do that role. He really wanted to play the accent and all that kind of stuff,
He's
which
like,
he
for the
did.
love of God, make me not Bond.
Yes, and because I mean, dude, that he's the most hardcore James Bond ever. I don't think you would get one at that caliber ever again. I don't think they want to go that route because that Bond is so hard. That's like he's like just a true
I
assassin.
I think that's it. Yeah, that James Bond. It's really interesting what they did with him in the last one. I love the last one.
I thought it was.
Be,
I thought that Bond was great. That was my favorite Bond. A lot of people didn't like him. It was like less on the womanizing, more on the just outright killing. I thought
well,
it was great.
so I think it also balances everything that we talk about in the real world too, right? Everyone's saying that Bond's a womanizer, Bond is toxic masculinity, and then basically it points to this Bond just like he's being masculine, but he's not being toxic. You can have a James Bond that fits into your modern day archetypes, but and tell a great story. I think that what's his name, the fucking guy from Mr. Robot, that villain was the only part I didn't like about it. I had no idea what the fuck he was on.
Yeah, I mean, again, that was I don't know what they were doing, but what saved that was excellent casting, outstanding acting, and a director who's willing to work with his talent. Now, J.J. Abrams, mm, I don't know, bro. I don't know.
You didn't
Like,
like the Force Awakens?
nah, man. But here's the thing. I don't like what they're trying to do with reference to the message. Shout out to the critical drinker. Don't tell me how to think. Make the story, write the story. Let's have a good, solid story. Let's get some talented actors in there. Let's get a really good director who understands the subject matter, not just their little piece of it, but in its entirety. Let's get that, and then let's roll with it. Because now let's get into Kenobi, right? The story sucks.
I think it's kind of I think it's perfect. It's a perfect Star Wars story
It
because
it could
every
be. It could be.
it's not over yet, but I see everything they're doing, and this is what I think is going to happen. Star Wars right now is a story of bloodlines and cycles constantly repeating, right? So they're in a lot of ways they're actually doing what they did with the prequels, which is Dave Filoni came in there and he fixed the prequels. The prequels, I mean, I like the prequels. I grew up with the prequels. I think the prequels were are I still can watch, sit down, and enjoy the prequels. But people your age hate it. They
I had to go
fucking hate
back. I
the
had to
prequels.
go back and watch them again after Clone Wars. I had to go back and watch the prequels,
Did
and
the
I had it.
prequels, the Clone Wars, make the prequels better?
Yes,
And
yes.
that's what I think they're doing right now, where they're basically showing like, are you? Everyone's saying Luke, it's totally out of line that Luke would never go into hiding and leave everything behind. Really? I mean, the prequels were basically a whole ass story about how the Jedi got all on their high horse, thought they were better than everybody, and that led to their downfall, them being detached from the situation. And there's nerds out there that'll give you the canon explanation that they're secretly built on a Sith temple or whatever, but that's stupid. In my opinion, like the built on the Sith temple and all that, that's stupid because it just takes away from storytelling, which is if you have a group of fucking Jedi masters, shaman monks who think they know everything and they're better than everything and they're above everything, that they literally let evil right in front of them tell them how to live their life. And they end up being their own downfall. Darth Sidious did nothing. He just sat by and let everything go into full plan. Like I didn't. It always bothered me when I was a kid. I didn't understand how the clone armies were formed. Like they like alluded to this Jedi. Like yeah, he just ordered a bunch of clones on behalf of the Republic, and you're like, and it was kind of like what? And I was a kid, so I'm like, oh, I'm probably somebody I just don't understand. I watched it again. I'm like, he's ordered a bunch of clones on behalf of the Republic. You mean that this race of like engineers built what's basically trillions of dollars worth of military weaponry, which are the clones, on a IOU. That's stupid, but it makes sense because the fact that the Jedi trusted that was stupid. It clearly wasn't an IOU because as you go back, you realize Sidious was involved the entire time.
Yes.
But basically, by the time young Anakin gets picked up, what the Senator Sheev, whatever it is, he gets legislative control, and he goes there secretly. He's like, "Yo, get me that New Zealander, make me a couple million, fucking million."
Like,
But
but and I get you on that, right? But today, Star Wars has a hard time. Disney has a hard time dealing with this stuff because they want to sell toys, they want to sell merch, they want to do
sure,
whatever, but they're neglecting the story. Like you don't like right now, like the casting is bad. So the thing with Kenobi and the what's the name of the character, the Moses girl? What is her character's name in this?
something sister. They're all numbered.
Yeah, the three and a half
The
sister.
Inquisitors, I think, are the worst part of Star Wars in general, even before Kenobi, and they've been around for like the past decade.
But it could work if they were. So
It
here's the thing.
could,
Here's the thing.
but still doesn't kind of make sense.
There was no need for this particular character, the third sister or whoever she was. There's no need for this character to tell this story. And I give you an example. Like I'm not at that level when it comes to writing and all that kind of stuff. But there are plenty existing characters that could have been used instead of this particular character that would have enhanced this very same story, like Barris, right from the Clone Wars. That was
The
the
girl
young
with the tattoos.
the Jedi, the one Jedi that tried to set up Ahsoka, and that was the reason Ahsoka
Oh,
left.
so the tattoos.
No. That you're thinking of Ventress, the Sith. You're thinking of the Sith one. There
Mm-mm.
was
No,
an
she had
episode,
tattoos. She has like
bald head.
the headgear. Ventress is bald headed. Now, I
Ventress is
wonder
bald
what
head.
did Ventress die? Oh, she died in the Clone Wars, like the TV one.
She is, I guess, in canon. She could have been used in this story. She's still around. Like she went up. She managed to get through Order 66. She didn't become an
Yeah, but Count
inquisitor or
Dooku
anything
tried
like
to
that.
murk her,
He failed. Dooku tried to kill her and he
so
failed. That
she's not gonna go back to the Sith. The Sith want her gone.
right. And then she went and was doing her own thing. She was working. That'll get us into a whole storyline, but they covered all that in Clone Wars. But Ventress is still was at this time that we're talking about now. She's still around, but there was a young Jedi who tried to set up um
Ahsoka,
Ahsoka.
the terrorist bombing, right?
Yes,
She doesn't work either.
and why not?
Well, one, she's a Jedi, and two,
She came away from that. Remember, because in that episode at the end of that,
they
it was like
killed her at the end of it.
they did not.
Kill her.
They took
That's
her into custody. They did not kill her.
that. What they were going to do is put her down.
No, they were gonna put Ahsoka down. But remember,
But
who was
Ahsoka got
put on this
exonerated.
right, and they just
She
took her
didn't
in.
get exonerated.
They
Ahsoka
took.
brought her to light, and they didn't show her get killed on screen, so they can always say like she escaped.
Here's the thing, because Palpatine was behind the whole thing anyway, so he didn't want her. Why would he get rid of her? And in his mind, he's probably thinking, "I'll be able to use
And
her
also,
later
she's
anyway."
a Force user, so her being right next to Anakin, Darth Vader, she'd be like, "What the fuck?"
So here's the thing. Would not have been better to use her instead of this third sister? You could have used that character, which already exists, and people were kind of like, whatever happened to this
Ventress would
character?
have been dope,
Or Ventress. You could have used either or. But you
but
could have used this. You could have used this storyline. Now you wouldn't want to use Ventress because, again, Ventress walked away from Dooku and all that anyway. When during that story, it was Anakin caught up with Ventress because it was like her sabers and all that kind of stuff. So here you got two characters that already exist, and the people who know the story were like, "Yo, they would love to see this shit." And the people who don't know the story, it doesn't matter. You don't need to create a new character just so you can have a person of color. Again, the message. And like this poor actress is catching hell. She's not that good. I mean, I'm sorry, bro. That this this actress that they cast to play this character that they didn't need to create for this storyline, she's not that good.
She's pretty good with the role. I think that she's handled herself really well.
Of all the people, of all the talent out there, you go with this one. She's just not. She's not that good. She's not believable. She's not scary. She doesn't come off as someone that's like, oh, you know what I mean? I'm really worried about this. It's nothing sinister about. She just seems like a little, you know what I mean, pissed off child who needs a timeout. She's not. You know what I
Well,
mean? You know what I mean? Like
she's
how?
she's probably a survivor of Order 66.
Well, yeah, she was one of the kids in the opening sequence. They showed her and some other kids getting out of the temple. The way they set it up is so easy. Like, come on, man. Like Stevie Wonder could see this coming. You know what I mean? Like this is, come on, bro.
But I mean, I'm fine with something being easy because it's not really about her. I think they just need someone that they're gonna kill at the end of this.
This story is about her. I don't think they're gonna kill her off.
They're gonna kill her off.
I don't think so. And no
I'll
one
do
would
it.
care. No one would care. This character isn't likable. It's not like it's the new
She's
Vader,
a villain.
but it's not a good one. That's my whole point. She's not a good villain. You could do much better with
You
established
could.
villains you got in the storyline.
I think that this is going to be a story about Kenobi. I think that the Inquisitors always really suck to me, and so when I see like a new Inquisitor, I'm like, whatever. So this, for me, and how I view her as just like a plot device. She's gonna give the reckoning to Kenobi. She's going to be kind of the amalgamation, the monument to all of his sins, and he's going to be first to kill her, or she turns to the light side, which hopefully they don't do that.
Bro, I don't know. I don't think I'll make it that far. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't.
Hmm.
It's just the what.
You
She's.
don't. I feel like the Kenobi's the what you're here for, right?
You want to know what's going on with Kenobi, right? You definitely want to know that. And what they've done to Kenobi is just terrible. Like here she is.
Yeah, yeah. She was totally killed at the end of the.
No, she wasn't. They took her into custody, but she wasn't. She
All
wasn't.
right,
And,
we
and in
need to
fact,
Wikipedia this shit.
yeah, like she's. I think she's still around in canon. They haven't done anything with her. She would have been. This would have been the perfect character to use in this story.
Or you could use her in Ahsoka, which is coming up.
Again, you want to tie all this stuff together. She has ties to Vader, right? Because it was Anakin who caught her, and he did it trying to save Ahsoka. And then all of a sudden, he turns to the dark
And you're
side.
not having fun with Vader either.
We haven't seen Vader. Come on, bro. Like, what
You
was the
have
thing with the
the
fire, man? Like, what? Like Vader's like, I'm gonna burn you. What was that? You know what I
him.
mean? Like, you got Kenobi. It's been 10 years, and he's just running away from Vader. Come on, bro. Like they did all that wrong, man. That's what I mean. Like, come on. There's no way you're gonna get a warrior at that caliber in any story who's gonna be afraid.
They're gonna fight one more time.
Like,
He's not afraid. He just doesn't want to fight.
well, he's afraid, and it's like, oh, he doesn't know how to use the Force, and then he has this annoying little kid that's running around. Man, I didn't think that you could ever write a story to get me to hate Princess Leia, but I tell you what, that little kid, brother Michael, what's good, man? Thanks for popping in, bro. We're just talking Star Wars stuff, man. If you're gonna hang out with us tonight, man, this is geekdom right here. We getting into it deep. Yeah, I didn't know Uncle Saint was a Star Wars fan. I'm huge into that world.
You're into
But
a lot of stuff. I'm like piecing together slowly. You got Robotech shirts lying around.
hey, man, it is what it is. When I wasn't in the street dodging bullets, I was at home watching Robotech and Battlestar Galactica, and you
Did
know
you like
me.
the remake?
I thought it was good. Ronald D. Moore's version was the best ever. It was the best.
Are you excited for the one that they're doing, the Mr. Robot creator?
Nah, not really. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it's just nah. You know what I mean? Nah.
Now that's a show that I think that did an interesting job of diversity, and it did it before everyone else.
The thing with yes, they did it right.
Because
Battlestar Galactica was great story.
and then
They
Caprica too. Like
Caprica got into the weeds.
People don't like Caprica.
It was a
I like
soap opera.
Caprica.
Caprica got into the weeds, bro. It was a soap opera. That's why I didn't like it. It couldn't hold my attention long enough.
They're
But
both
Battlestar was great.
I mean, they're both operas. They're it. I mean, even Star Wars is a soap opera.
Yeah, but at least in Star Wars and Battlestar Galactica and Razor, like when they did that little spinoff with Razor, um, you talking about the Pegasus and all that kind of stuff. At least you still had the edginess to it. You know what I
Right.
mean? But man, like I this Kenobi thing, like what Disney has done over and over again.
I
You know,
think we're
with
seeing a bunch of setup. I mean, it's treating itself like it's going to be a 6 hour movie.
I don't think they can pull it off, man. And again, they're coming away from story. They want to push narrative, and that's the problem. Just tell a story. I can understand. Like I'm pretty sure when Ronald D. Moore got into the writing room, they were talking about Battlestar Galactica, and like we're gonna make this edgy. We're gonna make this as close to our known reality as we can, but it's taking place in this faraway galaxy or whatever. And the way that they dealt with physics, the way that they dealt with death, the way that they dealt with all this, I thought was great. I mean, it was just come on, man. Like in they were killing infants. You know what I mean? Like they were just off rip. They were just raw with it. And I thought it told a really good story, so many different aspects. You know what I mean? Like when they had New Caprica and they had the resistance and they had all that stuff going on and what happened after they got back on the ships and what the hardcore colonials were doing to the people who helped the Cylons. All that stuff was gritty, bro. It was just like you would find. I'm pretty sure that's going on in Ukraine right now. You got spies on both sides, and then when the conflict's over, no matter who wins, when the conflict's over, there's gonna be a purge. They're gonna go through looking for folks. You know what I mean? These are the stories that I hope I like seeing because they're so real. This Kenobi stuff, man. There's no way a warrior of that caliber would in 10 years' time be what we see on screen now. No
I mean,
way.
there's nothing saying he can't fight. He actually still kicks ass in it.
Not really.
Yeah,
He
he
uses
does.
he uses tricks like smoke and mirrors.
He's a
Not really.
Jedi.
A 10-year-old got away from it.
Well, he wasn't paying attention to the 10-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, the 10-year-old got away. Just running through crowd. Oh, I can't get her. Come back here, man. You know what I mean? And then again, they got this villain who they created, this character who isn't needed. There's existing characters that can fit that mold,
But
right?
here's the thing: you gotta actually, if you want to make something your own, you don't have to always be using other people's characters. That's why I don't like the MCification of things. Not everything has to be intergalactic. Some things can just be their own story.
But
Like
all right,
this is a story that's like I can tell it's going to be self-contained. It's going to explain some things. It's going to explain how we got the Kenobi we see in the final in the New Hope.
but I think you
And
can get there with better writing. I mean, even the story they're trying to tell, it's just the right. It's like lazy, man. Everybody's phoning it in. This is just my humble opinion. It just doesn't seem, like it, dude.
what I feel like is phoning it in is when they go out of their way to do the fan service all the time. That's why I didn't like Book of Boba Fett. They brought back what's the blue face guy?
Oh, Cad Bane. But that wasn't again. That was a good. I thought that was a good writing choice. If you're gonna bring back somebody, they didn't try to make up a new person. Like let's bring Cad Bane in here. Let's let's
Cad
let's give the fans, you know, the end of his story. Let's kind of tie that in there because Bane was a beast.
kind of, but at the same time he also kind of died like Punk.
But he was way older. You look at what happened doing Clone Wars and stuff like that, and that tie between him and Boba.
That dude, I mean, Cad Bane during the Clone Wars was a fucking menace. Because, yeah, take in mind, I was watching this shit episodic as like a 9, 10 year old every week. And we'd like be talking about the lunch tables. We're going like, I mean, do you think he's actually dead? Like, it was kind of suspect, shit like that. Like, there's a lot of intrigue to him. He was always ahead of the Jedi. He was smarter than the Jedi, and he was also pointing major flaws into how the Jedi were. They thought that they could just get anything they wanted. Like they straight up committed war crimes to get this man to talk. Remember when they basically ganged up on him, all like three, four of these Jedi Masters, to do like read his fucking mind, and they basically nearly broke him just to get some piece of information. Just like, oh, Cad Bane is showing that these guys, the Jedi, are low key like doing some fucked up shit. They're not good people all the time.
And you know what? And that's you make a great point, and I agree with you. Why didn't they explore that instead of having Kenobi cutting meat and being this terrified guy? Like a young Jedi comes to him, he's like, "Oh, just bury your lightsaber and stay in the desert." And he sees the guy later after the Inquisitors got done with him. Kenobi would never do that, bro. He would
I
never do that.
mean,
You
this
know
is
what
a
I mean?
man that chopped his best friend in half. It really his de facto son, but really Qui Gon is more the father. Like that's why that the musical track from their big fight scene in Episode One is called "Duel of the Fates," because it's a fight between who is going to be there. If Qui Gon was Anakin's master, he would never fall into the dark side, because Qui Gon was the last true Jedi. But here you go with um, sorry, my brain's all over the place right now. Here you go with Obi-Wan Kenobi chopping his best friend in half, and he was basically told to raise his kid, because I mean I think there's what, a 7-6 year age gap between them.
Yeah, they were more like brothers. I mean, but he did what he had to do, right? That was his mission. He had to take care of Anakin for what for his
You don't think
role.
you just answer this honestly? Do you think you'd be a little bit fucked up if you had to cut your best friend in half and watch him burn alive in the lava tube? Just a tiny bit.
Yes, a little bit, but I think Kenobi was more hurt in Clone Wars when he lost his love interest.
No.
When he lost his Padme, I think he was. I think he was. I think that bothered him more.
The difference between Kenobi and Anakin is that they've both lost everything, and they both choose to deal with it differently. Obi-Wan accepted the fate of the world as it was. The Force is simply what it is. To Anakin, the Force was a power to do whatever you wanted, be a god.
And here's another thing too, bro. The fact that they're painting this picture of Kenobi just sitting in the desert, keeping his eyes on Luke Skywalker, right?
And Luke
Getting
Skywalker would end up doing the same thing.
getting back into it with Uncle Ben, saying, "Hey, when he's old enough, I'm going to train him. He will be trained. Oh, like you trained his dad, kind of thing." Here's the thing: how is Kenobi going to train someone if Kenobi's not even using the Force anymore? That doesn't make sense in their own narrative.
People can be confident in their plan, but not confident in their execution.
And someone who like you said chopped up his best friend, his brother, who gave up everything for the Jedi Order. That person would definitely not walk away from his faith. He would not. And his mission is to connect with Qui-Gon, and we see that in the episodes. He's still trying to reach out to Qui-Gon, but he's not using the Force. Come on, bro. They're just not. They're not thinking about their story.
I mean, that's the story. He's being contradictory to what his real mission is. He has to be with the Force, or he's not going to be able to do what he needs to do. Only way he was able to save Leia was by connecting back to the Force, despite his best efforts to fight it.
Ah man,
This is the reluctant hero. This is the trope.
uh, mm-mm.
You don't
I,
think
I
that's the,
I don't. I think these are just plot holes that these people didn't see. And folks are watching this, like people like me are like, nah, bro, this ain't working, right? And then you got people like, again, like your writing skills are way superb to mine. You know what I mean? So like you're seeing it through a different lens. Mine is more of fandom. I'm like, what are they doing here? This don't make any sense. Like, what are they doing here? And the way that they're handling the Grand Inquisitor, bro. Like, they even watch Rebels?
I fucking hate the Inquisitors. That's like I'm probably that's the one thing I don't like Filoni. That the only thing I don't like that Filoni did was create the Inquisitors. I think the Inquisitors are a stupid idea.
I mean, it kind of it helps. You had
It,
all
it
these.
adds baddies to it, right?
You need
It gives
that.
it. You need baddies, and you need them to be Force users. They can't all be Imperials because Imperials low key kind of suck too, but they're part of the lore, so you can't get rid of them.
You can't get rid of them, and it also shows that their skills pale in comparison to an Ahsoka. You know what I mean? To a Vader, and that would also be to a Kenobi. But now he's like, I can't even. I got to run and hide from these. You know what I mean? Low power wielding former Jedi. This story.
Yeah, I mean, if it came down to an actual fight, and we're talking about Kenobi, like it's Revenge of the Sith, I mean, Kenobi would. These guys would be dead. Like, not even their most powerful one, which they're implying is to be. I don't remember what her actual number is, but something the number system for the Inquisitors is stupid too.
Yeah,
I
like the bro. Hey, like
hate
you.
the
I get
Inquisitors.
where you're coming from. Like I get it. Like you, I hate them, but again, like going back to Rebels. You know what I mean? Going back to Ahsoka, the book. Like Ahsoka is taking them out barehanded, without a lightsaber. She got her. In fact, she got her lightsaber from a Inquisitor that she killed in the Outer Rim, helping it. And that's another story. Ahsoka, after everything that happened with her, right, with her clones and like everything that she had, everything she went through, which they covered in those final episodes of Clone Wars, which I thought was great. She goes
Yeah.
out to the Outer Rim, right? She's fooled Vader. He thinks she's gone, right? She's managed to liberate a few clones, like Commander Cody's out there, and this kind of stuff is going on. That's great, but they went their own ways to keep each other safe. Okay, she's in the Outer Rim. She's Jedi. Even though she walked away, she's still Jedi, and she's still helping people. She's helping people. These poor people out here in the Outer Rim, they're getting bullied, they're getting beat
Because,
up on.
well, here's two things. Ahsoka is a real Jedi. The second she walked away from the Order made her a real Jedi, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people's opinions. I think even Dave Filoni, who's like basically our new Bible creator, I think that the only thing that she's wrong about right now, which is, and I think every Jedi is wrong about, and I think it's the through line of Star Wars, is that love is not this horrible thing that everyone's making it out to be.
Yeah, okay,
That you need to have connections to actually be a real Force user.
and I get that, but back to the story. How is it that Kenobi, as powerful as he is, as committed to the Force, forget the Jedi Order, but just the Force itself, as he's a walking conduit
This,
of the Force, how is it he's going to walk away from it and lose all his skills in 10 years? Meanwhile, Ahsoka is doing what she's doing. Like, just looking at this story, Kenobi couldn't beat Ahsoka,
no, so yeah, no.
which is just no way that that's a thing, bro. There's no way that
It
that's a thing.
it's the story that this is the story of a reluctant hero who is what's the word for it? Not dissuaded, but disenchanted by what he has done. He doesn't trust the Force. He doesn't trust in himself. He doesn't know what he believes in. Only thing he knows is basically what he set off to do 10 years ago, which is protect the kid and possibly train him to be the chosen one.
So he's like,
And even then, he doesn't really believe that this kid might be the chosen one. He thinks that he's Anakin. He thinks internally, he thinks that he's just going to create and he's going to fuck up again.
so he's like, fuck everybody, right? I'm not gonna help anybody, even if some young Jedi tracks me down in the middle of the desert. I didn't even sense his presence. Didn't even know he was coming. I can't buy off on all that, bro. They again, it's a better way to tell this story without making Kenobi look the way that they're trying to make him look. The same thing they did with Skywalker, right? It's the same thing that they're doing with the Incredible Hulk. Same thing they're doing with Thor. I know that's Marvel and all that, but it's just again, this message is like, come on now. There's different ways to do it. It's all I'm saying.
I mean, this is the arc of who he's going to be. At the end of the show, he's going to be back to. He's not going to be back to being the same Kenobi we saw at the end of the Revenge of the Sith, but he's going to be the Kenobi we see at the beginning of A New Hope. he's going to be the wiser, smarter master. I mean, we even saw that in Rebels, like with his fight with Maul.
I was just gonna bring that up. We already saw that. But why? I mean, but you can't get
But
from
you don't see the why to that. I think it's perfectly reasonable to understand that someone who just did all this horrible shit basically ruined. You got to realize this: Kenobi is culpable in the fall of the Republic.
right. It's like you said, you were supposed to bring balance to the force, not destroy it, like not leave it in
He's talking about
shambles.
himself there. If you really think about it, he's responsible for Anakin.
Yeah, because he did it on his own because he made a promise. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like this is there are different, there are better ways, in my opinion, to tell this particular story
I think there's.
without destroying a legacy character like this. Like, okay, I
I
get where you're
don't.
coming from. They're gonna
I don't
make
think
it
he's destroyed though. I think that this is just. I think everyone has bad moments in their life. I
not
think
that
everyone
bad,
has.
bro. Not that bad. You got a 10-year-old annoying little kid, Princess Leia, a little annoying 10-year-old Leia, telling him what to do.
Well, she thinks she is, but she's also a princess. You have to remember that. She'd be
He's
fucking
dealt
annoying.
with Princess. I mean, it's this is Kenobi. You know what I mean? Like, come
So
on,
what's he
bro.
gonna do? Beat the shit out of the kid?
If it were no, but I mean, it's just the other ways to handle it. No, he don't have to beat her, but there are other ways that
Make a
Kenobi could have.
very, very different Kenobi. He just pulls out his belt.
Just yeah, let's get out with that. Just use the force to give her a nice little whooping. Like, you better sit your little badass down. You know what I mean? I fucking, but again, he doesn't use. That's my whole point. Like, you can't get someone is that powerful. Like, I'm gonna walk away because I've heard some people in other podcasts. This conversation is going on in geekdom like big time, right? Well,
I just,
the force is like you. It's like a muscle. You got to exercise it. I
I,
don't see that.
I
You
don't like people trying to like add rules to the Force. It's the Force. Like this is one of the things I hate is that like, and it all happened because George Lucas wanted to like, his whole thing of trying to make a toy out of everybody in the background and foreground and sell a book no matter what.
right.
I like the thing. I hate adding rules to the Force. Like I hate the idea that the Jedi Temple was accidentally built on top of the Sith Temple. It's just like stupid mouth breather. Like, ooh, what about this? Like, nah, it's the Force. It's everywhere and never and nowhere, and it's moves through all living things throughout all time. And the only it's really down to, are you going to use it for good or are you going to use it for bad? And oh wait, good and evil really doesn't exist except in its most extremes.
I mean, I get that. I mean, it's like water, man. Water could bring you life, or water could kill you. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. But back to the story. I mean, I think the
This
casting was
is
bad in this. I really do. I really believe the casting was bad in this. I think the acting is questionable because they got some great talent. There's some great, very, very talented actors in this thing, and they're just not. It's like, man, they ain't buying into this shit. I think they read the script like, whatever. We're gonna get paid for this.
the one thing I'm kind of wondering is that I'm not a lot of people know this is that Kenobi actually got delayed because they threw out the original scripts.
I wonder if it was better or worse.
I think that there's a good chance it could have been better, um, which is really interesting because I still enjoy the story. I understand what they're going with, and I understand what their story they're trying to tell. But I feel like right now we're having all these conversations because you're not seeing the nuance because there is no nuance. This
I
is a
see
very
that. I see it.
this is a very cut and dry story, and that's what everyone's not. That's the biggest thing with it. I feel like it's a story that follows this hero's journey template and doesn't ask these really internal questions. Like the really big thing they're not talking about right now is, I mean, they're implying it, but they're not getting into the nitty gritty, which is Obi-Wan Kenobi was culpable in creating Darth Vader. That's a lot of guilt. It's a lot of guilt to basically take the world from being a democracy into a fascist state. where people can be killed and people can be interrogated and thrown off, like inquisitors going around cutting people's hands off. But they're not diving into that nuance and they're not diving into these internal things. And right now we're getting a character we have to project onto. Because right now you're thinking, oh, why is he not using his force powers? Why is he not doing this? And who knows? Maybe that they'll come back and they'll add all that nuance. But I feel like what they're doing is here's the cut and dry story. Obviously, he's having this and this and this, and it's a lot of plot. And I enjoy that plot, and I enjoy seeing that. It's adding in the stuff that I suspected would happen in a story like this, but it's not going and talking about it. It's not, and maybe they'll go into the Clone Wars and they'll talk about that era in their lives. But right now, it feels more like they're going to just say they're going to give us the plot points. They're going to give us the happy slash sad ending because we know Kenobi's going to die by the time New Hope happens. And we're going to have the moving parts that create the sequel trilogy. Because guess what? Luke Skywalker will commit the same sins that Luke Skywalker will commit the very same sins that Kenobi committed, and really before that, that the Jedi Order committed, because the Jedi Order, at its core, is not teaching the right aspects of the Force, which is you need to be connected to the Force, and attachments are a part of that.
All right. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to find the name of the character. The actress name is Moses
Moses
uh,
Ingram. It's
Ingram.
something sister. It's just you got to figure out what her number is.
I think I want to say third sister or something like that. No, I think it has actual name too as well. But the funny thing is, I put her name in. I'm trying to find the name of this character that she plays, and all I see is all this stuff about racial messages, uh, Instagram stuff,
Yeah, Star Wars fans gotta stop doing that shit.
and it's not all the fans. You just got dudes. It's just it is what it is. That's how it works today. You got people gonna say stupid stuff. It doesn't take away from the fact that I mean, I'm glad sister, if you're watching, I'm glad you got the money. I just don't think you were a good fit for this character, and that's nothing against her. And I think furthermore, the character wasn't needed to tell the story. I think you would have got more bang for your buck if you brought Ventress back, or if you brought like we were saying, Barris, one of those two characters back. I think you would have just got more bang for your buck. And again, to the casual viewer, they have no idea who that is. That's more reason to go back and watch the story. Go back and watch uh, Clone Wars. Go figure out who these people are. Go discover all this stuff. I really believe that the writers over at Disney, they don't consume the content. They have no idea. Honestly, bro, I think if I had one of them sitting in front of me, I would ask them like, "Yo, tell me the truth. There are no cameras on. I won't tell. How much of Star Wars are you familiar with? Like, okay, have you read any of the books? Right? Like, just do you know who, like, the stories of these people? Do you even care? And I bet you they don't. I think they're more focused on telling a particular narrative than they are of being true to the story, bro. Maybe it's because I'm old. I don't know. But this poor Moses Ingram, this poor young woman gets this big break. I I mean, if dude, she wasn't even that character wasn't needed. It wasn't needed. You get far more bang for your buck bringing Barris back, and then you got that. Because think about it.
Because right now you're trying to write the story that's in front of you.
I'm cool with what they're trying to do. I just believe they fell short. And it's just again, because here's the thing: you got this character no one's ever heard of. She came from out of nowhere. Apparently, she was in the temple when the order went down. She saw a bunch of Jedi get, executed, or they died in the battle, and they managed to get away. These 4 or 5 little kids, whatever, these younglings managed to get away. Now she's back. She's a big bad Sith, wanna be next Vader. Okay, and she's obsessed with Kenobi. That makes no sense.
What about it?
That
Doesn't make
hmm?
What about it makes sense?
Why is she so obsessed with this one Jedi? She wouldn't have spent that much time around Kenobi. Just based on how big she was. She's not that old. Kenobi was real busy.
She
Him and
knows
Anakin,
she knows who Anakin is.
she probably knows their names. Like she knows Anakin, she knows Kenobi, she knows Yoda, she knows all these names, right? She
So
knows
you're
them.
you're a Force user. You kind of figure out who you. They know that if you're part of the Force, you're going to know who's Force or whatever bullshit they have called, right? So imagine this: you're a little kid, you see Anakin, who's like a chill dude, like a couple weeks ago, all of a sudden going all Columbine on your shit, and you just like, oh wow, he's killing all my friends, and he's going to be directly responsible for everything. So in turn, you realize that Kenobi is also responsible for this shit. So she probably hates Vader, which that's a good thing in the eyes of the Sith because they feel everything by big intense emotions like hate. So her hate's guiding her. She wants to take on Kenobi because she knows she can kill Kenobi. She knows she can kill Vader.
I don't think that's the story that they're trying to tell here. What you're saying makes more
I,
sense than what I'm seeing unfold in like in real time.
I'll
I
bet
think,
$5 on it.
man, yeah, I got you on that bet. But here's the thing:
Okay.
in that world, right? In that world, as a youngling, she wouldn't be around Windu and Kenobi.
They're
The
chilling. They walk through the fucking Jedi Temple
But
all the
see, they
time.
wouldn't be around them.
It doesn't
Like
matter.
they wouldn't know them well enough, right? Because it's
Listen,
not like they were old enough. They weren't old enough to be out there assigned to a Jedi, like Ahsoka was assigned to
this
Anakin.
takes this takes place 10 years after it, so she's 6 7. So that means we're dealing with a 18-year-old Inquisitor. So she's young, angry, and thinks she knows everything, and she's going to directly blame these people.
Wouldn't it make more sense to blame Yoda? Wouldn't it make, if that's the case, wouldn't she have more of a burning desire to get Yoda? What's this fixation on Kenobi?
Anakin murdered people.
On
Anakin
Kenobi.
Kenobi was his mentor. Anakin is the dude that went in there and murked all your friends.
And we're assuming that she saw that.
She probably
Because
did.
in the episode, like in the, if go back and watch it, episode 1 of Kenobi, they managed to get out of there unless they're saving more flashbacks for later. Like, how would she know that that was Anakin? She wasn't in the room when Anakin walked into those rooms.
Because they're gonna show that she saw Anakin. That's just where I think it's going. And if it doesn't go there, I'm gonna say Kenobi's bad because that's obviously what they're setting up. And if they just set up shit that didn't make, if they just show that scene of Order 66, which is cool, I think Order 66 is the most interesting thing in Star Wars, and I love seeing it. I love it when they show it in the games. I love the Bad Batch, which follows up what's going on.
Great story. Bad Batch, great story. That whole
Like,
thing with Crosshairs and everybody else, that was great.
yeah, I love the reveal at the end of it. He's like, yeah, nah, my shit was malfunctioning the entire time. I'm just a dick.
And he's just like, I'm a soldier, bro. These are orders. This is what we do.
So if you were alive during Order 66, insinuating it was real, you think you'd be on the Empire side going into it?
If you are a clone soldier, let's just like if you are the most elite clone soldier, like a hybrid, right? So these like this is the
Bad Batch.
The Bad Batch. We're talking about the Bad Batch. Like these guys, I can see how Crosshairs was like, you know what? Orders are orders, bro. We killing these guys today. We killing these guys today. We working with these guys tomorrow. We're working. That happens in real life. That happens, dude. That happens in real life. There are Green Berets out there. There are SEALs out there. There are Rangers out there in the real world who one year was helping a group of villagers or whatever, and then the following year that same group of villagers is trying to kill them, and they got to engage them. That's just how it works. It's just geopolitics. And real soldiers, those guys who are committed, man, they don't care. There's another order, bro. You know, today you're my friend, tomorrow you're my enemy. It's the game they play. So
I thought that was a great thing about Crosshairs that made him really interesting. It's like at the end of it, yeah, my shit was malfunctioning the entire time.
that blew me away. I think he said he removed it.
Oh, that's
So
even better. So
yeah,
he's
I think
like,
he said he
yeah,
removed it.
I don't like people telling me what to do, but I'm doing it anyways. That's such a
He
weird thing to do, but it makes sense at the same time.
he was committed. He's a warrior. Crosshairs was just committed. Like, man, this is what I do, bro. I ain't rolling with y'all. I ain't mad at you, still my brother, but you on the wrong side. Again, y'all were on my side on Monday, and here's Thursday. Y'all over there. So I got something for you. That's hardcore. That's great storytelling.
And the greatest thing is they didn't want to kill him no matter what.
They didn't, but Crosshairs would kill him.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about that story. I love Bad
Absolutely.
Batch. I'm so excited for it to come back in September.
Bad bad. Me too. I'm looking forward to it.
And
So again,
they've got a Jedi Wookiee in it.
yeah, that was the Wookiee that Ahsoka helped liberate on that when they were being hunted by, I forget the species that was hunting them. I don't know
They
if
just
you
give
saw
him
that
some.
episode. That was a dark episode. That was like a two-parter.
Can you
See,
believe how much like dark of like that show was meant for kids, right? But whenever George Lucas was not looking, they made that shit dark.
they
Like,
had to.
I mean, the first season they had an episode about slavery and
Right. I
keeping
s
everybody like. And that shit I was watching like when I was 10, going, oh shit.
In that episode, if you go back and look at the artwork, they got dangerously close in making Ahsoka look sexy and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is directed towards these nerdy boys, because they had her in a cage and dressed as one of the slaves, and it because she was undercover, and I'm like, yo, they kind of
Ahsoka is such an interesting character because, and I think it proves why being angry at things in Star Wars doesn't always lead into your favor. I think the prequels are even a good example of it because at the end of everything, people hated Ahsoka when the Clone Wars movie came out.
when it came out, they absolutely hated Ahsoka.
But
Absolutely.
Dave Filoni is such a good storyteller. He understands Star Wars so intrinsically and so well. I mean, this is the guy that helped do Avatar: Last Airbender, which that's a fucking incredible show if you've never watched it.
I've watched a little bit of it. I'm not not crazy about it, but I've seen it. I know what it is.
You know, I just have warm feelings. That show came out 2006, 2007. And those were some bad years of my life, but I remember that show very well. It's funny how kids latch onto something in the middle of all the dark. Same for Clone Wars. I mean, that shit I saw when I was really young.
So, bro,
These characters mean a lot to me. So, I mean, when you have these debates, you just want what's best for them. What the hell is that?
this is the episode I was talking about. They had Ahsoka wearing this
Oh,
outfit.
look at that. There's already some sexual artwork.
Yeah, I was trying to, but they had Ahsoka wearing this outfit for that entire episode,
Yeah,
and
they were begging, just let me cut off a few inches of fabric, man. And
bro,
Dave
uh,
Filoni's beating him off with a stick. She is 16.
right, it's like cut that out. It's like cut that out. But again, this is like, to your point. They were definitely making Clone Wars for grown-ups.
And so it's pretty funny. I mean, I feel like the one thing I don't like about Disney is that they have this weird thing where they're trying to balance keeping the Disney brand family friendly, but also trying to get into so many IPs. And I'm like, the reason why you buy an IP and you spend billions of dollars on it is because you want that IP to be itself. And so that's why I think a lot of people didn't like the prequels, or not the prequels, the sequel trilogy in the way that they were expecting to like it. They're like, oh, let's keep everything together. But you're trying to Disneyfy it when it's not that. It's Star Wars.
Yeah, they're doing some stuff. And for anyone who's going to be watching this in the replay, yes, we are going a deep dive into fandom, Star Wars, geek world. This is still DLC, and I really want to know. Like I say, I talk about a lot of different things. Today, we're talking about why uh, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series sucks. Now, Valor, he has a different take on it. And that's why I had to have my brother come on here and we could talk about it, man. But I gotta tell you what, bro, straight up, Valor. I hear what you're saying. I don't think that that's what's going on in the writing room for Kenobi. I really don't. I think they're just doing they're typing out this crap. They're doing it. The actors are getting the script like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? They're doing their thing, and Disney is just happy, more than happy, to destroy yet another legacy character this time as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't think they're gonna try to.
I don't think he's being destroyed. I don't think he's going to be destroyed. I think we're gonna get Kenobi that we see at the end of episode 1 or A New Hope.
After season 1, how long they gonna? Because
This is a miniseries. This is it.
this is it. They're
This
not
is
hoping
it.
for any more.
I'm sure they'll find a way, but right
I
now this is a miniseries. I don't see it being a TV series.
Man, I tell you what, bro, I'm not happy at all. We'll see. And the way that they brought Vader in again, if you used established characters, you could have tied in Ahsoka with that Ventress Barris kind of thing. You could have tied that in there. I don't think that Ventress works. I think Barris works better because of that tie between Anakin and her and Ahsoka. And then that also works because that'll show why she wants Kenobi. She wants Kenobi because she's like maybe Vader shared with her what happened. And she like and then Barris would know like this is Anakin. And I want to create, I want to please him in a way that no other inquisitor can. And I'm going to get this guy. This is why I want this guy. As opposed to, again, why aren't they out there chasing this Wookiee we're about to see in the next upcoming show? Why ain't she chasing Yoda? Why isn't, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many others out there. Why isn't she? And then, again, maybe she wanted, you can tell a story to where Barris is like, look, I want Ahsoka. And Vader's like, nah, bring me Kenobi, and then we'll go get Ahsoka.
Well, and Vader doesn't know Ahsoka's live until like 5 years before all this stuff.
All right, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't realize she's alive until it was Rebels when they fought.
Yeah.
And it was
So,
before they fought, they sensed each other
yeah.
in an
So it was
episode of
kinda,
Rebels.
they were very much like. It's interesting. I think Vader is such an interesting character because everyone that he thought he lost was actually still alive, but he was too far gone by that time to realize it. Because at the end of the Clone Wars, it's really sad because you see Vader, you kind of see his eyes, you still see there's a little bit of Anakin there, and he picks up the lightsaber, and then it's just Vader alone on this icy planet, realizing he's lost everything. Vader's such a great tragedy.
And again, they could have, even in this miniseries, they didn't have to reveal Darth Vader so soon. They could have waited.
Kenobi, he really hates. I don't think that knowing Kenobi's alive is not a shock for him.
Yeah, they could have waited because he knows how great Kenobi is, and you would think he would be hesitant to want to face him again. Like, oh, I'll make sure I'm ready for this dude, right? So man, I'm sorry, I just can't get behind it. All that time they wasted the setup with him cutting the meat, you know what I mean? Him and his, space horse, whatever that animal is. All this time, going to his cave, kicking it with the Jawas, but not working on the Force at all. I don't make any.
Because the
Don't make
Force,
sense.
I mean, if he was connected to the Force, he'd reveal himself to Darth Vader. On top of that,
But he was still trained, like keep his body right. He was still working his form. They say he was one of the greatest swordsmen ever. Like, so he's just not going to even work on his form. You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. And
bury his
and
lightsaber.
and here's the thing: that what you just said about the Force, not necessarily because Anakin didn't sense. Well, Darth Vader didn't sense Ahsoka until they were in close proximity
But did Ahsoka really use that much?
all the time. She was using the Force stuff all the time. She was using it in the Outer Realms. That's how she managed to get the first Inquisitor. That's how she, got her lightsabers because she took his crystals, cleaned them up. She was using them
Maybe,
all the time.
maybe not using it. I really hate. I don't want to get into the nerd shit where I'm like, well, maybe if you use it incorrectly, you can say yourself. But I think that, but that might be the plot hole. But it could
Yeah.
also just simply be explained by if you don't use the Force correctly, you can show your location.
But and then you look at what happened in the Mandalorian when Grogu had to get into that Jedi stream thing to reach out to other Jedi because again Ahsoka was there. Ahsoka told Mando like, "Yo, this is what you got to do. Take him here." and he could use the Force to reach out to if there's any Jedi out there who will be willing. So no, they were using their powers all the time. You know, what I mean, maybe it
Well,
had to be
he
some
had to
sort of
use
proximity thing.
he had to use like a special shrine technically for that one too,
But my point being,
and it was a beacon.
it was a beacon, and my point being, he was using the Force even as a youngling.
Yeah, don't mean that they didn't know where he was, or at least
Right?
didn't have an idea.
Vader didn't come get him. You know what
Oh,
I
they were
mean?
trying to. They definitely were, because what's his name?
But Grogu outlived the Inquisitors.
Yeah, there's probably. I mean, Grogu. Grogu is such a weird thing to me because I don't think it's like. Yeah, he outlived the. You're telling me that this little baby got around the universe just fine?
Oh, he's so cute, whatever. Who knows? Again, there's
But
more
yeah,
story there, but it's just but back to Kenobi thing. Again, this plot holes in I would love to see that, man. Boy, I wish we could get our hands on that first script. Wouldn't that be something?
I would love to see it. I mean, you can pull up the article, look it up. It's like original Kenobi writer says they didn't like my Jesus arc or something like. I don't
I'll
know.
I'll find out later because the alcohol is working on me, and I'm like, me, we've just we're on opposing sides of this thing. You know what I mean? Because I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm not happy with what they've done so far.
Well, let's let them finish it. See where they're at with it.
It was hard for me to finish episode 3. I mean,
It
it
was,
took me like a day. I had to keep going back to it. I'm like, this is just garbage. And it all revolved around a character that they did not need. They didn't need this third sister character or whoever she is. They don't need that character.
I mean,
They don't. They just didn't.
listen. If they could get rid of the Inquisitors as a whole, I'd be happy.
And you've made that clear. But we know that. But the Inquisitors have to be
But
there.
the Inquisitors are real characters. They've always existed. They've existed for the past decade. It's not the far leap to tell me that one survived Order 66 and said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go kill Kenobi, and then I'm gonna get powerful enough to kill Vader."
But my thing is, the character is not needed. And if you're gonna go with this kind of character,
I mean, no characters needed. That's the point of art, right?
this one is so bad. That's what I'm. It's just a horrible. If you're gonna write one,
I like her arc. I like the idea that she survived Order 66. It's just a matter of, are you going to accept that someone can survive Order 66 and come back into becoming a Sith Lord? And maybe that's why she survived Order 66, is because she became an Inquisitor.
but I want to say that the Grand Inquisitor was a temple guard,
Yeah, which I mean,
which was a
they're all piss baby Jedi's. They're like kind of okay Jedi's. That's the point of them.
you know what I mean. But he was a temple guard, like she was a Padawan. You know what I mean. Again, we've already established in this world that their powers fall way short. You know what I mean. There's no way, even with this weak version of Ben Kenobi, Obi-Wan, there's no way that they should be able to beat him on any. And they got her looking super powerful. Using the Force to jump from building to building, doing all this kind of crazy stuff, and Kenobi's just hiding from her. There's no way.
He's pulling his punches right now, and I'm curious to see when he's going to stop.
Man, he wasn't pulling his punches when he met Vader. They showed him with fear in his eyes. Again, that was just, and him and Vader didn't even need to meet right there.
That's
Bad.
where I'm like, they're going to have their one big fight. Kenobi's going to win it, and then that's going to be the setup for it. Because, I mean, the product's all there.
I don't think they're gonna pull it together, bro.
They're doing a decent job right now. The only thing I don't like about it is the fact that they are leaving room for interpretation for certain things, and Star Wars fans are not people who like room for interpretation.
Shit story. I don't even think there's room for interpretation. I think it's just a shit story, bro. Told by people who don't write that well, directed by a guy who probably doesn't give a shit, and then like a questionable casting. Like even with the great actors, huh?
Vanessa Beechcroft, she's a great director.
Man, she didn't bring this home. Again, from my humble opinion, like what do I know? You know what I mean?
Go ahead.
I'm just a guy who likes stories. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see when it makes the turn. How many episodes is this supposed to be? Is it 8,
Six.
6,
All right, let me
3
look it up
more?
real quick.
3 more episodes. Well, they got a long way to go. It's a lot of heavy lifting to get to the end on this one, bro. And I
Six.
think what they're trying to do, like you said, they're going to use this third sister to save the day. I don't believe they're going to kill her off. I
They're
think
gonna
they're
kill her
going to.
off.
I don't think they're going to kill her off. They're going to use the third sister to save the day, and then she's going to
Kenobi's
go.
gonna murk her and feel bad about it, and it's gonna be set up for because this is also the other Kenobi's a fast fighter, right? That we saw on Revenge of the Sith. This is going to be an older Kenobi, and we're going to see how he masters his form of being slow.
But we saw that from when he dealt with Darth Maul, so we already know. And
Well,
again,
we didn't see that. We saw what happened after that training. We saw him at the end of becoming a master.
no,
Well,
we saw
we
Obi
saw
Wan
him.
Kenobi dealt with Darth Maul on Tatooine,
We saw him at
and
his best.
but no, like Obi Wan Kenobi, and that was in
That was a 10-second fight, but
That was in Rebels.
that was the end of his journey. That was basically if you that's the penultimate event in Kenobi's journey. That fight with Darth Maul and Vader, that is penultimate because it's just a setup for what's it called? That's a setup for what's going to happen in A New Hope, where basically Vader for Kenobi realizes that he's not going to beat Vader, but the best thing he can do is teach Luke a really important part of the Force, which is that it's real.
Right.
The first realization that Luke actually gets that the Force is a real thing and the Jedi aren't just a bunch of crackpots is when he allows himself to be struck down by Vader. I'm not sure you realize it, but the Force is not shown anywhere else before that moment, at least in the actual physical sense.
Right. Well, and I'll say this, bro. And I think this is why I don't like this series and what they're doing with this particular version of Kenobi. Because of Rebels and how Kenobi dealt with Darth Maul. Right? That right there showed Kenobi was doing his thing. He was like, "Oh, Ben, whatever." Ezra managed to find him. That brought Maul, and Kenobi was forced to really reveal himself as this powerful Jedi Master, which this whole time he's been on this planet, just looking out for Luke Skywalker, and Maul was doing his normal thing, and when Maul figured it out, like, oh, you're protecting someone, that's when Kenobi had to do what he had to do, right, and just took care of it. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, man, this guy's so committed to the mission. So committed to the mission. He's been sitting there chilling, letting everybody think he's just some old man who lives in a hut doing nothing. But he was out there training and preparing himself and learning, right? Continuing to grow within the Force, to your point, to where later he can show a young Luke Skywalker, a young man now, the true power of the Force and being, allow himself to be struck down and actually join the Force.
So this is the penultimate journey where Kenobi becomes a master of all of this. And what we see at the end of Rebels is basically the consequences of what happens to Kenobi. And the end of his journey is episode 1. Episode New Hope.
Right.
And and if they're smart, that's what they're going to do.
I don't
If they
think he's gonna do
fuck
it.
it, if they fuck it up, we will know by episode 3.
All right, we're gonna find out. Well, no, we're already into
Episode
episode 4,
6. Episode 6.
but by 6. But you should start seeing something coming up. Like I said, man, I don't think they're gonna do it.
If
I
they
think
fuck it up, man, I'll be back here and I'll be kind of bummed because it's what I'm talking about right now like Star Wars is what happens with Star Wars is that you get filmmakers and you get executives fuck it up, and then you get these lower budget projects, or well, I guess Kenobi's still like $100 million series,
yeah,
but
Rogue One was the lower budget project. And they was like, whatever, do what you want to do, and they make that into this amazing piece of work for this.
And so you got all these like shitty big Crayola drawings in the middle, but you got these beautiful doodles. Like you have Clone Wars. The ending of that is Vader realizing he's lost everything. Um, Kenobi is we're real. It's Vader at his worst, at his most violent, his most hospitable. And then you have Return of the Jedi, which is basically Vader realizing is the only time in his life where he's not been a slave was in those last 5 minutes with his son. And that's a beautiful arc. That's a beautiful story. Because you think about it, he was a slave to the Jedi Order. He was a slave, literally. He was a slave to the Jedi Order. He was a slave to the dark side and Sidious. And the last 5 minutes of his life were spent with his son dying. Only time he was ever free.
Yeah, great stories being told there,
And
but they ain't doing it now.
Kenobi, episode Revenge of the Sith, Kenobi basically kills his brother. He thinks he's done it. He really should have gone down there and just kind of whatever. Couldn't have Star Wars if he did that. You have him killing his brother. You have Kenobi, which is basically him dealing with the trauma of that and learning what it really means to be a Jedi. And he's probably going to reconnect with Qui-Gon Jinn. Like, we're going to see Liam Neeson again. And he's going to become the Obi-Wan we see in Rebels. And we're going to see him kill his biggest mistake, which was Maul. And Maul, at the center of all this, is a monument to everybody's sins.
We're gonna see how it plays out, bro. We're gonna
So
see
if
if
they
it
do a
play.
good job, I'm hoping they do a good job.
They're not off to a good start, bro.
Because right now, I see a lot of the stuff you're talking about is just set up. None of the stuff's explained yet. It doesn't need to be explained yet. And that's why we got television. I think television is like a medium I want to be in because you can tell these better stories.
Yeah, if you do it right. I mean, to me, it just seems like they wasted 3 episodes.
Episode 1, Kenobi gets back his lightsaber and decides to take the mission. Episode 2, I forgot.
Thank you, thank you.
Episode 3.
Episode 2, he turns his back on everything.
Okay, rewatch it. Episode 2 is the only one I was like, I'm kind of in the mid range about. Like, people were talking about how there was like a scene with the clone troopers, like veterans now. And I was like, what, really? And I missed it.
There was a homeless clone trooper when he landed on that, when he was looking for Leia. So again, episode 2, he turns his back on everybody. He turns his back on a young Jedi. You saw what happened to him. He turns his back on to the people who are suffering at the meat chopping place. And he turns his back on Skywalker. His only mission, he left him on that planet. And when he got to wherever he was going to help find Leia, there was a veteran of the 501st, which was Anakin's Legion. And if you watch that scene play out, it seems that the clone trooper recognized Kenobi as General Kenobi, but didn't say anything. So it was pretty good. That was pretty cool how they did that scene. However, you know what I mean? Like again, that's the beginning of episode 3, where he's like, what, his connection to the Force, I guess that's episode 3 is supposed to be about. Episode 1, episode 2 turns it back on everybody. Like, so like episode 1, whatever.
I mean, it's the hero's journey. That's all that stuff is.
And how did he find? If he's not using the Force, how did he find those lightsabers that he buried? What, did he put a cross on them or something? He goes down to the middle of the desert and just knows.
I mean,
he used
we had maps.
But he didn't want to find them. So why would he give himself a way to find them?
He didn't say he didn't want to find them. He just buried them. He didn't want no one else to find them. You could just be like, oh, this is the coordinates. Now, burying sabers in the sand in an environment where it's constantly pushing stuff away, not the best decision, but whatever.
Hey, bro, that's all I'm saying, man. Like I just I don't think they gave a lot of thought. I think this hour and 20 minutes we spent thinking about this story is more time than Disney's writing room ever thought about this story. This is my personal
I
opinion.
want to do a Star Wars show so fucking bad, man. I would love to do Star Wars. I love Star Wars, as you can probably tell from this conversation. Like,
Like I mean, dude, I'm a fan. I love good stories. They've been telling good stories since the '70s, bro. I get it. I like the characters they built. And like I said, Clone Wars, amazing. I know people who could care less about Star Wars who've watched Clone Wars and is like, yo, this is a great just to see what the clones went through. Amazing. I thought it was great. You know, Star Wars Rebels, I thought it was great. You know what I mean? But this stuff, bro, I don't know. But this is definitely to date my geekiest episode in the middle of the night here on the East Coast, talking about Star Wars. We're definitely gonna revisit some more geek stuff. You know what I mean? At some point, I don't think I ever showed you. Did I ever show you the geek talking reel we did?
oh, Eli did.
Eli did. Okay. Which
Uh,
version did he show you? All the versions, the different versions, or did he just show you
he
this
showed me
one?
one with like some girl.
Was she Asian or was she like a redhead?
I don't remember. I just knew it was a woman.
Yes, we did a few of them. We did a few. That came. Yeah, and I'm gonna do a show. I'm gonna show everybody uh what we were trying to do with Geek
You
Talking.
develop a bunch of interesting things.
Hey, bro, I'm all over the place, bro. All over the place, and I love it. That's just the way to live. You know what I mean? So yeah, for anybody who was watching this deep dive, me and Valor talking about Kenobi and the
Is anyone
fandom.
commenting?
No, they all went away. Well, here's the thing though, like Fresh and Fit's late night show was on already, so I wasn't expecting no one. Like my people from like Suzette Speaks in that world, they're sleep because they gotta get up and go to work in the morning, and then the people from the Fresh and Fit world, they're over watching the late night.
They got
Um,
jobs in that world.
yeah, they do. A lot of they got jobs. A lot of self-made dudes, and then the dudes who don't have jobs, they're working hard because of Fresh and Fit. The late night shows, man. It is what it is. You need to watch it. We're not even gonna talk about it. That's what we got our own thing going on with that. Well, once we reveal what we've been working on, once we reveal to the world what we've been working on, then we'll go back and we'll have this conversation about what's going on over there. But so no, I wasn't expecting a lot of people to jump on live with us because it's so late. We'll see how it goes. See if people watch it moving forward. But we're gonna keep having these geek talks, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. We gonna There's a lot
Bruh,
of things I want to run by you,
if you want to, I'm pretty much anything geeky. I'm watching it right now.
man. You gotta help me find some more geek people. I want to get like two more folks, and we can have a back and
Oh,
forth.
I got Sable. You should talk to Sable.
Let's make that
He
happen.
he's a me. He's funny. He's from Compton, but he's geeky as fucking a tattoo artist. He actually did my tattoo.
That's crazy. Oh, I see
And
it.
he's like a mixture of like kind of a gangster kind of dude, but also just funny as fuck. Ex comedian,
Yeah, we should definitely do that, bro.
and he makes his own comic books.
We should definitely do that, and then we can talk about like what happened to Cowboy Bebop. I would love to hear your take on that.
You
Same
know,
thing though. Trying
I
to
didn't
tell it.
watch the show.
Oh man, I tried to watch it. It was kind of crap. I tried to
You
watch
know,
it. The first episode started out pretty good, and then it quickly like,
Jonathan Cho, right?
ooh, don't get
I
me to
think
lying, bro.
the guy that they got playing Bebop, because I remember like people like, yeah, if they do live action, they should get this guy, and they got the guy. And I was like, okay, so they're showing some commitment to it.
Not much at all. And they really they took a dump on that fan base. Those people were really again. The first episode seemed pretty cool, and then it just spiraled downward from there. A lot of promise. They could have did some good stuff with that, and they canceled it. Netflix wasn't playing like, all right, it's crap. Because again, the story's already there. It's not like you're needed to be creative. You know what I mean? The story is there. Go watch the source material, figure out how you can make this work. But people are trying to push that narrative, man. The message wins out all the time. And by winning out, I means it gives you a bad story and it gets canceled. You're like, oh, we're gonna talk crazy about the people who love this stuff. We're gonna alienate the fans, and then they
And
wonder why the project went to shit.
and I think here's the thing executives miss when it comes to storytelling and diversity. You can tell incredible stories with diversity. Look at Pose. Look at
Look at Star Trek, the original.
Star Trek. I mean, fuck yeah, they got Captain Uhura, right?
Yeah.
Like,
There are plenty of strong women throughout that Star Trek world, and people of color and different species, and all made up to be whatever, whatever.
I mean, Bridgerton. Like, I mean, you can tell these stories that have lots of diversity, have lots of people represented. But the thing where people start disliking, or the thing where I think stories, but when you start making stories and changing things intrinsically, it doesn't work. Like, there's a big conversation right now about making Magneto black
Why? Why does
because
Magneto need to be black? Now, okay, keep going.
so well, and let's talk about this. So you want to remove one of the few Jewish characters, like characters where them being Jewish is like an actual thing, not an afterthought.
And see, I didn't even think about that. And there you go. Look at this. Star Trek. This was in the 60s. You want to talk about fighting it? I mean, they told a great story. Look at that. This is blackface. You can't have blackface. Like, go watch the episode.
So like you want to remove Magneto being Jewish and replace him with a black guy. Like, oh yeah, you can make it about the Rwandan genocide. Well, one, you're trying to make something. You're trying to add something that's. You're trying to one remove another story saying it's less valuable, and you're saying we're changing it for the times, but you're inherently removing a Jewish character, and you're also changing that character intrinsically. The reason why Magneto is because he saw his people systematically eradicated.
Yes. And what was the one when he took the quarter? This was the origin story. You remember
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one? And it
yeah.
was like, and he used the quarter and pushed it through the guy's head. I thought that was amazing.
Like, but you're intrinsically changing characters. Now, there's also good examples of this diversity stuff. Like look at Battlestar Galactica, what they did at Starbuck.
Yeah, yeah, you can gender
You,
swap, but they kept Starbuck true to the character.
and I know you mentioned Thor, but did you read like the issues that's based off that character?
I did not.
So that's actually a really good example of how to do that. Jane Foster, one is ex love interest, and secondly, you know, she's a part of the Thor lore. The way they told that story, which was basically every time she turns into Lady Thor, she kicks ass, but every time she turns back, her cancer progresses.
Okay, are they gonna keep that in the story? Probably
I
not.
hope they do.
They're gonna figure out a way to defeat the cancer so she can go on to be the best Thor ever. You talk about diversity, man. Look at this. This is Voyager, bro. Look at this. Native
Asian, black
American,
guy.
right?
There's
You
an
got
Asian
you
in
got
there?
black guy, Native American, Asian, female, Klingon. You got a photonic person in the doctor, because he was a hologram, and you got Neelix. Not even Neelix, a little bit of everything. I mean, think about that, man.
Come as you are. I mean, you can tell amazing stories with diversity, but I feel like you cheapen diversity when you tell a story and just lodge it in there. I don't think the new Star Wars is an example of that, just because it's a universe in a galaxy far, far away.
Well, yeah,
There's not.
we're talking about Battlestar Galactica too. I mean, here's the thing though, and I will say this: if like there was a Netflix series that had Achilles cast as a black guy, a black actor, and I was thinking, why not? This could work. I mean, it's not like we're casting Greek characters to play, you know, mythological characters. We're not casting Romans to play Romans. We're not casting, Native Americans to play Native Americans. So I'm like, why not? If this is the best, this is the best. And the guy did a good job. I forget the name of the series, but I'm like, oh, they got a black Achilles. Okay. And
They
in
told
this, huh?
they told a good story and they did it in a
It
way that was really. Mhm.
this the story was okay. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you, the story was okay. It didn't hold me, but it wasn't because of the lack or it wasn't diversity one way or the other. And there are
Right.
stories you can do that. But if it's already established, like we can't go back and make Star Trek and James T. Kirk is like, you know, an Indian guy. You know what I mean? You can't go back and do that. But how
It can be a
how
new
does
cap. They can always have a new, but you can always have a new captain who's Indian.
yes.
And these stories, you can make your stories expansive, but I feel like once you make them reductive, it becomes a bad bad way to actually do diversity because in a lot of ways you're saying that certain stories don't need to be told by saying Magneto can be black but not Jewish. You're saying that there's no room for a Jewish story. Or if you take Black Panther and make it a white guy, you're saying that there's no room for a black story. And I get that for Hollywood for the past 50 years. Like, I mean, even in Marvel, the CEO, Perlmutter, is a racist piece of shit. Like, he said Black Panther wouldn't make any money if it were made. And Black Panther made $1 billion.
Made $1 billion. And that was, I mean, that was much needed. I'm so glad they did that. And I've heard criticism. Like I'm a huge fan of the Critical Drinker, and he looked at that. He took a critical look at that, and he was like, yeah, it could have told a better story. Yeah, it could have been better casting, but he pointed out that it was monumental. It had to be made. It had to be made. You know what I mean? And I'm glad it was. You talk about pride, like you look up and you see this fantasy world that includes you. That's great, man. Like
Yeah.
that's great.
Stories are for everyone. And I think that there's this weird, people attacking Ingram Moses right now for the color of her skin is just insane. When it happened to the lady who played Rose in Star Wars, that was insane. Without stories, we'd be nowhere, and without seeing ourselves in stories, I don't think that's good for anyone. And people get mad about it, and they say, well, what about this, or what about that? And the people who are saying, what about this, what about that, tend to be people who look like me. We have a representation, dude. I can point to Kirk, I can point to Maverick, I can point to Luke Skywalker. They're all pasty white like me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maverick did a good job of keeping it somewhat diverse. I mean, you look at the cast, you look at the casting on that. It works.
I was referring to the actual character Maverick in terms of like white
Oh yeah,
character
yeah, yeah.
role
Oh, yeah,
models.
yeah, yeah. I get that. Like the kind of Maverick Lone Wolf kind of thing, and I get where you're coming from. And it is what it is. There is an argument to be had, but that's not the argument I'm trying to have. I'm just, like when it comes to diversity, you shouldn't be making characters like we need a gay Muslim Asian, what I mean, superhero. Go. It should be you're just telling a story, and if this person happens to be these things, it is what it is, so long as it fits the narrative for the story. And I think it's great you go out there and look for people like there are tons of talented writers out there telling great stories about Asian folk, like Doctor Strange. I still wonder why they didn't cast an Asian actor for that. But
China. That was the answer there. China, I'm kind of the one trend I'm kind of happy about right now is that we're actually all standing up to China. I mean, I'm not sure if you realize this, that there's a controversy about Top Gun Maverick where they removed the Taiwanese flag from his jacket and they replaced it with a Chinese flag.
I'm sure they did. You look at what's going on with when they sent Black Panther over, in the
They
American
replaced Black Panther, which is the mask.
yes. I mean, it is
Stupid.
what it is. At the end of the day, you got to make money. I get all that. You know what I mean? Do I agree with it? Nah, I don't agree
But
with it. But you got
but
it. That's a
but here's
billion plus.
the good side of the story. I'm not. You probably didn't pay attention to the jacket, especially since it only showed up for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, I
But
didn't.
the jacket had the Taiwanese flag back on in the theatrical release,
Mm,
and they're not going overseas. And that movie made $500 million.
hey,
So
bro.
there's room for people to tell stories and not be afraid.
There's room for that, man. I mean, but if someone wanted to do like if they did a Sherlock, well, they did Sherlock Holmes,
Mhm.
and switched it all up. So I mean, it is what it is. You're always gonna have people like, man, I want, I want my hero to be this. This is what I remember it. This is what I want. But again, going back to Star Trek, they did Voyager, Captain Janeway. I thought that was amazing. You got this strong captain of a starship who by the book regulations kind of thing, hard nosed, and by the end of that run, she's all about her crew and just getting them home, and she wants to get it. She doesn't want to lose anymore. I thought they did a good job with that. I'm a big Voyager fan.
She showed the lady who played the captain on that. She was in Orange is the New Black.
Orange
It's
is the
like
New Black. Mm-hmm.
has like an anger, and that's a show where this is the best example of everything we're talking about. They do these really beautiful, amazing moments of talking about prison reform and this, that, and the third, and then they go and immediately fuck it all up by adding this lesbian romance between this white woman and how she'll always love this person over her husband. And it doesn't make sense. She's a horrible person. She's fucked everybody else in her life. And you're like, you want me to root for this character who's fucked everyone over in her life because she's lesbian?
Yes, and that's the message. Don't hold
And
her accountable for her bad decisions. What are
it,
you
the,
thinking,
the,
Valor?
the story of the writer's room on that's crazy because that's exactly what happened. The writer on that, she fell in love with another writer on it and they ended up fucking and she left her husband. And which is cool, like great, you find your sexuality, you figure out you like women. I like women. Like I'm sexually diverse myself. But you're really gonna make your narrative about this and also make gay people look bad at the end time?
Yeah, bro. Like, how sexually diverse are you? You might want to throw a pause in there, bro. You're gonna get a whole lot of fan mail. Like, ooh, Valor is very
Oh,
diverse.
I did not mince my words. But my,
Hollywood, baby. This is how it's done, y'all. Y'all want to know what Hollywood works like? This is how it works.
my sister, God, my sister's. Oh,
But we
next,
can go ahead.
oh, this is a funny story. I dog napped a dog today.
I don't want to put that might lead to like a real thing. I don't
Oh,
let's not put that on here. You know what I mean? Like, don't drag me into this, man.
no, it wasn't that.
I don't want the dog police coming out here asking me questions.
Nothing bad.
You
Don't
know what I
worry.
mean? But the thing being, like, we're I didn't think we was gonna go this long, bro. Like, we're like coming up on an hour and 40 minutes. But
Stories are awesome, man.
hey, man, listen. I want to end with this. If Hollywood was just focused on telling good stories, doesn't matter so much about gender and diversity and all this kind of stuff. If your story is reflective of what's going on, you know what I mean. But my buddy was telling me about the Discovery, Star Trek Discovery. And his biggest problem, and this my buddy is not homophobic or anything like that. But he was like, why do we have to watch these guys, two men or two women for that matter, making out, doing all this kind of stuff? He was just like, what? Why is it? He's like, he was asking me, it's like, dude, why does it seem like I'm being forced to accept something? Like, I accept it, but why is it I'm being forced to watch it? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I get it. Just
How
that's
much?
just what they're
How
doing,
often do you see heterosexual scenes?
dude. I ain't gonna lie to you. That was my number one complaint with Maverick. We don't need this. I don't want to see these two old people doing that.
Wait,
Ugh.
what do
Ugh.
you mean? Like, oh,
The traditional, I mean, make out scene, love scene, or whatever. Like, I don't want to see that.
oh, that happened in Top Gun. Top Gun's funny because everyone says like the original Top Gun's like a gay love story, right?
Yeah.
When I saw Top Gun Maverick, I was like, oh my god, this is a story about a single father coming to terms with the death of his best friend and reuniting with their son.
Yeah, and no, we don't want to do any spoilers because a lot of people are going to see that. But
There's no spoils, what I
there's
said.
no spoilers. Yeah. But I mean, it was a good story, and I get where you were going. Like, well, how many scenes of heterosexual sex do you see making out just down the third?
I mean,
But
watch Game of Thrones.
and here's the thing, bro. It's just
Did anything gay happen
how
in
big is
games?
that community? How big is that community, bro?
Big. I mean, It's, I would
Make up.
say,
I mean, we just two guys talking, man. Make up a number. What percentage of America?
10 to 25% of America is like sexually fluid.
25%. So 75. So
And this basically, and what I mean by that is meaning that doesn't mean that they have to fuck men only. It just, or if you're a woman, fuck woman only. It just means to be like, I've had a sexual experience with someone of the opposite sex.
so
25%.
25%. So if 25% are gender fluid when it comes to this sort of thing,
Sexual.
sexual. I'm sorry,
You're
sexually
good.
fluid when it comes to this sort of thing. 25%. So wouldn't there be places in America where you just don't see it?
I think if it's unsafe, then yeah. And I
I'm
think
just in. I mean, just in general, like it was. And again, if you, eh, you know, my thing is like, well, we know we want to be
how many gay
representative.
people do you know?
I know quite a few. I've got lived in LA for 25 years, bro.
How many? Okay, name one friend that you know that's like butt fuck nowhere. They know a gay person.
My uncle Mark is in Cincinnati, and that was, you know, like, and he's my uncle, but it's my dad, his best friend.
He's a gay man.
Oh yeah, that's his Uncle Marcus. And I can remember the first time I realized what gay people were. I was young, I was a teenager. I was 15, 14, 15 years old. I'm with my mom and dad. You know, we go down to watch what's called a Cool Jazz Festival. It's basically like, you know, like Luther Vandross and a bunch of R&B legends were performing. And I go, Uncle Marcus is there. Well, my parents leave, and I'm like, I'm just gonna stay with Uncle Marcus. And when my parents left, these pretty boys came and took my parents' seats. They were, you know, absolutely 100%, you know what I
Gay
mean,
man.
gay. And I went, I mean, and I was having a good time, and they showed up. I was like, oh. And again, Cincinnati, the way we were raised in Cincinnati is like, yo, it's, you know, it's very old school when it came to that sort of thing. Very frowned upon. And I wasn't upset with their lifestyle. It's just I had a lot of friends there. This is a major stadium. This is a major event. Back then, since that's like one of the biggest events, black events, you
So
know,
that's the culture you came up in.
that's the culture I came up in. Now, of course, if anyone saw me or whatever, wasn't nobody gonna say nothing to me because, you know, I'd have brought it right to them. It'd have been what it was gonna be. But I didn't learn until I moved years and years later. I moved to LA doing a comedy show in Boys Town. It was Revolvers doing a comedy show there. And that's the first time I've been around that community for an extended amount of time. I was in there for 3 or 4 hours waiting to do some stand up. And I never got on, as a matter of fact. They never even put me up. But at the beginning of the night, I was real nervous. I was just kind of on edge. You know, like the energy, people talk about your energy. My energy was bad. By the end of the night, I'm like, man, these are just men, period. They love each other. They love everyone. I mean, I got to see how that community moved. These are powerful men in that room, wealthy men, average men, below average men, but they were comfortable. You know, it was what it was. And I'm like, oh man, that I ain't gonna lie to you, it was beautiful to see. Am I a part of that community? No. You know what I mean? Am I into men? No. Do I have a problem with people who are? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know what I mean? So I learned a lot that night.
So just being in the room and understanding that they're just being there and being in that room and same environment, that brought some empathy to the situation.
It brought understanding. I wouldn't even say empathy. It brought understanding. My father always raised me to treat people the way you want to be treated. He didn't care white, black, whatever,
So
gay, straight, whatever.
let's just say you see a character on television and you're in the middle of, let's say, Mobile, Alabama, and you don't see those people very often. I think that having that representation, and I think there's some of it that's a little bit okay, but there's some of it that's pretty normal. Like just like they write them like a normal heterosexual couple, and I think that representation goes a long way for helping everybody. Like The Moses Ingram thing. Oh, is that a new comment?
Yeah, that's what's good, brother. I see you out there, Rod Edgar, man. He's making things happen out there, fresh and fit. Dallas in the house, bro. We were in here talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. We wrapping up, and now we're talking about
Diversity.
diversity, and in particular, we're talking about I guess was it considered alternative lifestyle or just gay, lesbian, LGBTQ. We're kind of touched on that, and to your point, Valor. We're talking about if you're in Mobile, Alabama, and you're a gay man, I'm just gonna keep it 100. It is gonna be very difficult for you outside of your immediate circle to live that lifestyle. Now, is there a thriving gay community in Mobile, Alabama? I would say yes. I'm sure there is. Are they more protective of each other? I'm gonna say yes. I'm sure they are. You know what I mean? Because there's a and this is what I learned just in talking to sisters in Atlanta, and we're talking about the black community in Atlanta. These gangster dudes walking around Atlanta, man, they love men. There's some dudes out there, and this is going back to the early '90s. Girls will be like, "Yeah, they called it down low." These dudes were down low. That was a big problem with sisters. They get with these guys, these thugged out dudes, and these dudes were like
They like
bisexual.
men.
They like men,
They
and
like
they
men. They
they
might
called
like
it
women.
down low. Yeah, women would ask me, "Are you down low?" I'm like, "What's that mean?" Down low. They had to explain it to me. I'm like, "Oh, no, no, no. I like women."
Yeah, that's still used today.
Wow.
I knew a guy, a rapper named Lavish. Yeah, the show's not good.
It is what it is, bro. Like I said, I gotta keep it diverse. I'm gonna come strong with it later on in the week. But hey, bro, love, man. 100% love, man. We'll definitely chop it up. I'm coming back to Dallas, bro. I had a good time. I gotta come back to Dallas. That was fire. Fire. And yo, thanks for tolerating. They all can't be home runs, but we gonna do our best to keep it diverse. Rob is that's a real one though. Like I love my fresh and fit fam, man, because they real with it, and I respect that. And we got like 12 minutes to wrap it up, dude. This actually went 2 hours. I thought this was gonna last 45 minutes, bro, or less. I ain't gonna
No,
lie.
Star Wars is never gonna last that long.
Yeah, I done sat here and talked until I ain't even drunk no more. How about that?
But no, this I knew this guy. His name was Lavish. There's this rapper name. Wears big chains. His dad owns like a boxing gym. So like, raising yourself out of poverty single handedly with the power of your fists, Manny Pacquiao style kind of people. He just loved penis. But he was down low about it. He's like, and he acted like one thing, and then come the night, like all my gay friends, like, oh, there goes Lavish. And all of his friends defended him to the end, saying, nah, he doesn't like men. And I'm like, sure about that? My friend Austin's got something else to take.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I think fresh and fit must be done. Everybody's jumping over here. What's good, Rook? I see you, man. Uh, coming up on the last 10 minutes. I got
They missed all the Star Wars shit.
yeah, late. Yeah, gotta go back and watch the repeat. Yeah, it's definitely the late show, bro. We was in here just kind of wilding. Yo, tomorrow, for anybody who's out there, tomorrow, Rook is gonna break down the Nubians, bro. We're gonna talk about ancient Egypt, the 25th dynasty. That was us, the Nubians, the Black Egyptians. Yes,
Get some
they
ISIS
did.
papers in here.
Yeah, and yes, we did exist. Brother Jason, what's good, bro? I see you out there, man. We just wrapping up here. Uh,
I dated this girl. Her dad's a very big like Black Panther kind of person. Like I walked to his garage once. He had a Black Kings and Queens poster, and so I was immediately like, oh, he does not like me right off the bat, and I could tell. And so I took a second. I'm like looked around his bookshelf, and when I went back home and I started reading and looking at the Wikipedias for all of his books, and I came back, and I'm like, yes, sir, I have read the ISIS papers. I know a thing or two about the 25th dynasty, all this shit. And he loved me. I'm like, okay, I think I
That's
just got
what's
myself the N word and the Wakanda pass.
That's it, man. And my brother Rook, man, he's an expert on it, and I'm looking forward tomorrow. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're gonna be on there talking about the Nubians. So if y'all trying to get y'all education on, definitely come and check that out. And then on Wednesday, we're gonna have Jr. from Fresh and Fit Dallas, former Navy. We're gonna be talking about what's going on in today's Navy. There's seems to be a lot in the news about self deletions in the Navy, and their desertions are up. So I can't wait to talk to him about what's going on in the Navy, and we're gonna delve into the day to day stuff. I was Army. The Navy is like a different universe, so different. You know what I mean? So
Must be a lot more Navy men pretty soon.
yeah, man. So and Roger, yeah, like tomorrow, man, we're gonna be talking. And this is my brother. This is my brother Rook right here. Looking forward to it. Sorry I missed the show. Now don't worry about it, Rook. We catch the replay. We didn't think we was gonna catch anybody this late. And Rook's gonna be covering. He's like, I'll cover the Old Kingdom to Metro Tissic. Did I pronounce that correctly? I probably didn't. So yo, brothers out there, y'all really want to know what's up with the Nubians, with Black Egyptians, like all that. We're gonna do a deep dive tomorrow. It's gonna be legit.
I
You
like
know
how
what I
you're
mean?
saying all this with like the pastiest white man on the planet.
That's all good, bro. You my dude, man. Like you my Hollywood insider, bro. Like I said, we got some stuff that's coming out here. Fresh and fit people, y'all gonna see some stuff coming out pretty soon. And when y'all see it, y'all gonna know like this is the guy. This is who I had to go to help me do what I'm trying to do. Um, and it's gonna be good. I can't say anything else about it, but it's gonna be amazing. You just wait and see, y'all. Y'all stay hang in there. And it's way outside of this podcast what we're talking about right now. It's way outside of this. We're getting into some real heavy hitting Hollywood stuff. You know what I mean? We definitely gonna get RP awareness out there into the mainstream. We're gonna make it happen. If people gonna have to talk about it. So and yeah, we got JR gonna be on there, man. It's gonna be fire on Wednesday. We're gonna be talking about the Navy. Tomorrow we're gonna be talking about the 25th dynasty, ancient Egypt, and then who knows what we're gonna be talking about outside of that. And then we're gonna come back to we're gonna do some more geek stuff, man. I'm gonna have Valor help me out. We're gonna find a few more geeky people, man. We're gonna sit down and have some wild talks about geekdom, and what I mean, we're gonna get into that. Y'all can teach me about anime because I don't know a whole lot about anime. I'm a big fan of Afro Samurai. I didn't realize that was anime. I just thought they told good stories and it was cool because Sam Jackson. Got Samuel L. Jackson's voice on there, and you got Wu Tang music in there, and the animation was just so unique. So yeah, I wanted someone to help me out, and we can talk a little bit about anime as well.
You should
Uh,
watch Evangelion.
I'm gonna have to watch that. Oh yeah, Vampire Hunter. My daughter is into that. Man, I had to take her to see a bunch of the Vampire Hunter D stuff and all that, man. So, um, I'm gonna keep trying, man. I'm gonna try to do some of these animated. I want to learn about this whole anime world. You guys be on there, fresh to fit people talking about this over 9,000 and Goku and all these people. I don't know who they are. I got to get into that. I don't even know. Is that Dragon's Ball Z or what is that? What was the one where you got the cards and you got to train a Pokemon? Pokemon. I don't know anything about that, bro. I gotta learn.
Digimon, digital monsters. No, you don't know about Pokemon.
I don't know nothing about no
All
Pokemon,
you
bro.
gotta know is that Ash has only gotten that fucking Master Champion Cup thing once, and he's always failing at the end of every season.
See,
Uh,
so I gotta learn. So we're gonna do this once a month, man. We're gonna get in here. I'm gonna geek out with you, bro. Probably get Eli to join us on one of them. We'll geek out, man, on some different topics.
oh, you and him are back at it?
I just he's doing his thing. I haven't caught up, but I know he'll want to jump on and talk about geek stuff, bro. Because Eli's all about that geek life. You know what I mean? So we get you. You said you got your gangster buddy that's out there want to talk about this stuff, man. We're gonna make it happen. So I'll give you the last word, bro. I'm gonna say this and then I'll give you the last word. Uh, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series so far, my opinion, trash. I think it's a bad story. Um, That's where I stand on it. Valor, you get the last word.
All right. So I think Kenobi's setting up a bunch of stuff in the episode. We're not finished with it. It's all set up right now, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, I'm thoroughly enjoying that setup. But I will say this: Star Wars is a compilation of a bunch of stories. It's a galaxy far, far, far away. Things are different stories, different people, different everything. So find what you like, don't watch what you don't like, and don't go after people. Don't attack Moses Ingram. Don't attack the lady who played Rose. I mean, they attacked the guy who played fucking Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, they did.
That behavior is unacceptable. And, we're just here to enjoy what we're here to watch, right?
I
So,
agree with you there. I agree with you there, man. That was a great last word, man. And you're right. Yo, people out there, don't attack these damn actors who get paid to do their job. Don't attack the storytellers. If you don't like the story, just don't watch it. You ain't gotta attack these people. That sister out there, Moses, who's doing her thing, good for her. I'm glad you got paid, love. I ain't gonna lie to you, I didn't like the performance, but I hope you make millions and millions of dollars out there in that world. Um, but my objections to the character that you played have nothing to do with you. I'm happy you getting it, girl. So with that said, I am DL Saint. That is Valor. This is the DL Saint I Really Want to Know podcast. For those of y'all who jumped in and out, man, I appreciate y'all. I really do. Like I said, we're trying to do different things over here. Catch us tomorrow when my brother Rook tells us all about Nubians, man, Black Egyptians. And then on Wednesday with JR, Fresh and Fit Dallas, we're going to be talking about what's going on in the Navy. I'm about to go make me a peanut butter jelly sandwich to go to sleep. I'll
peace
talk to
out.
y'all later. Peace.